It's a pretty exciting morning because I'm up in Burleigh getting ready, setting up the car to do an interview with my first World Tour competitor. This fella is a Gold Coast local and a hero to so many young grommets because he does some training. He's a pretty quiet fella and he's such a well-mannered and unbelievable surfer, obviously. And he has gone through his own shit too with qualifying for the tour and then breaking his leg the day before he starts his campaign back in 2022, I think. Liam O'Brien's a known and loved Gold Coast local, and he's about to go on the world stage, and I can't wait to hear all about him and find out what his plans are for world domination. So let's go, Liam Obrien. Fucking sweet. Alright, now what am I doing? Shit. Yes! Hey mate, how are you? Jump in. Chuck your board in. Chuck in the back, yeah. There's a fair bit of camera crap and stuff in there, mate, so just chuck it on top of that. Yeah, bro.
Right.
How are you, mate?
Good, yourself?
Oh, I'm bloody great, thank you. Mate, thank you so much for squeezing it in.
Oh, no worries. Sorry, it was so all over the show. I was
Oh, good.
I was a bit all over the show with my week schedule, but
What's been happening this week, mate?
nothing that exciting.
Nah.
Just a bit of training and stuff, trying to get ready for next year. But
Yeah, cool.
sorting a few things out. But,
What kind of training are you doing at the moment?
Oh, just a bit of gym stuff and then surfing training,
Yep.
and then just trying to book hotels and flights and all that crap for next year.
So, when you're as part of being on the tour, are you your own tour manager?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You got to book it all yourself. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's just there was like this deal on flights, so I was trying to like get it all done before today. So
Yeah.
I was kind of stressing a bit, but
Yeah. And did you get it?
yeah, I think so. I got it sorted.
Nice. And what's your itinerary?
Well, the first comp's in Hawaii, so you go over there, and then the second one's at the wave pool immediately after, so you got to go straight from Hawaii to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, Abu Dhabi's the next comp, not
yeah.
not the
No,
side
not
one.
that Slater pool. The other. Well, it's the same thing, but it's in the Middle East now.
Which will be awesome to go catch up with.
Good to see Cruzy. Yeah.
Go to see Cruzy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be sick to see Cruzy.
Have you been to Abu Dhabi before?
Nah. I've flown through Dubai a few times, but I've never actually left the airport there. So.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like.
Yeah. Fuck. I'm not sure what I'm in for over there. But
Yeah.
we'll see. And then there's a little break after that, and then it's like 5 events in a row. It goes Portugal, El Salvador, Bells, back here for Snapper, and then Margs.
Mate, how good is it that we're going to have Snapper again?
Yeah, it's sick. It's nice to do one event at least close to home. Don't have to get on a flight. It's still a bit of a hike from up here, but
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
And mates, where are we now? On the Gold Coast, whereabouts are we?
In Burleigh, driving almost across to Chevron Island.
So for people who wouldn't know where that is, we're kind of behind Surfers Paradise almost on the northern end of the Gold Coast, which I'm really familiar with this area because I grew up right here and went to school. It's an amazing little spot. How did you find yourself in Burleigh, man? Did you grow up on this end of the coast or?
Yeah, just bludging off the parents is how I've ended up in Burleigh.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still live at home, so just cruising up this end. It's pretty funny whenever someone asks where I live, I'll say, oh, Burleigh. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Where is that? So
It's funny, by Gold Coast standards, living in Burleigh as a surfer seems unusual, yet we're probably 5 minutes from the beach max. But when you live on the Gold Coast, you tend to, surfers generally live in the southern end or on the beach. We're so spoiled, eh?
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah, I've never lived down Cooley End, so I can't really compare. But I mean, you get fun waves up here, and it's not far to get to the point at Burleigh. You got the beaches up here that get fun, so
Yeah,
it's I kind of enjoy it. It's like a bit out of the circus a bit. And
for sure.
you get a few more little sneaky cruisy sessions.
Yeah, that's for sure, man.
Yeah.
Have you been surfing up this way this week?
It's been pretty grim this week.
Yeah.
We'll see what we get today, but I think it'll be pretty average. But yeah, I have had a couple little grovels, but hasn't been too much that's been worth noting.
Yeah, and I guess it makes a lot of sense for you to live at home, so you're not renting a pad when you're about to go away for, I guess, the better part of the year.
Yeah. Fortunately, my dad isn't sick of me yet, so he still lets me live there. But
He'd be stoked, have you? Surely.
Yeah. But it's hard to justify when you're away so much. You'd be paying for rent from when you're away more than you're home, you know. So it's sort of, for me, it'd be nice, but it'd be like it's kind of a waste of money.
Yeah, man. It's not needed.
No.
Did you grow up surfing with family, mate, or what got you into surfing?
Yeah, my dad's surfed all his life.
Yep.
He actually grew up in southwest Victoria in a little town called Portland. And then he moved up here for work, I think. And I was born in Brisbane, but then we moved down to the Goldie, maybe a few months afterwards.
Nice.
And
how good's that?
Pretty much been here since. We did a small stint back in Portland, in Victoria, from when I was about 5 till I was about 8, just a few years down there. And then came back when I was about 8, and I've been here ever since.
And when was it that how old were you when you realised you were good at surfing?
I don't know about when I was good at it. I know I've pretty much been surfing as long as I can remember. I think when I was a little kid, I was just obsessed with it. And Dad would be doing it, so I'd want to go and do it.
Yeah.
And he'd just take me to the beach and push me on when I was a tiny little kid. And yeah, I can't even remember my first wave or
That's
any
so
of that.
cool.
It's kind of like beyond memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just always been something I've done and enjoyed. And then as far as when I knew, I don't think I've ever felt like I'm good at it.
Yeah. You're
always,
a world tour competitor,
I know.
but you still don't think you're good at it.
There's just always someone. There's always someone better than you, so you're like, you know.
And having that approach, mate, do you think that's like, you know, having a humble approach and feeling that way can only make you better, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Keeps you driven.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just resting on your laurels, getting complacent with it. But I don't know. Yeah, just I suppose the way I was taught, or the things I was taught about surfing, it was all about, you know, you got to be humble, and you don't claim, you don't paddle up the inside, you don't carry on, you just do your thing, and you just enjoy it for what it is. And I don't know, that's been kind of ingrained in me since I was a little kid.
Yep.
And I kind of like that approach.
I like it too.
It's just nice. You don't. It's less pressure. I feel like if you're overconfident, you got the pressure on you to back it up. So I'd rather just be like, not have that, and just be relaxed.
That's a nice way to be, and to not have the pressure and go out of all of that stuff. And if you're relaxed, I guess they're giving yourself your best opportunity to do well.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah. No, it's it's each to their own though. You know, some people thrive off of getting real fired up and putting the show on, and that's sick too. But yeah, I think it's just, I don't know. That's just not my style, I suppose. I kind of crumble a bit when I'm in those situations. So yeah, I function better when I just keep it relaxed and try and keep it a bit low key.
Yeah. And what are some of the things you do to manage stress before big events, man? Like, have you got any routines?
The main thing coming into a big event or something stressful situation is probably just trying to make sure I've done a really good, thorough preparation, you know, so I can just be confident in the work I've put into it. I think there's nothing worse than when you get to one of those situations and you know you haven't done the work and you're like, you can't even just like, at least in your mind go, well, even if I lose, at least I know I did everything I could. You're like, I cut this corner and I missed this and missed that. But if you do everything you can I don't know, you feel like you've controlled everything that's in your power, and the rest you're just happy to leave it up to fate or to the day or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And you're confident you've controlled your end of the bargain, and you still feel the nerves and everything, but you know that there wasn't anything else you could do, and you're free to go out and just have a crack.
And so with being brought up with your humble approach, is that from Dad and Burleigh, sort of being in Burleigh board riders too, and and like where do you think you learned that from?
Yeah, probably a bit of both. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Burleigh is an amazing club. They've looked after me since I was a young fella, but it's a similar thing, you know. It's probably a similar thing in a lot of places, but that classic tall poppy syndrome, you don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
I remember at a prezzo once going, and I like won a trophy or something, and I was like walking up to get it, and I was pretty chuffed. And I was, must have been like kind of strutting up there, and then one of the boys going, "Head down, mate, head down, fucking pull it together."
No way.
Shit like that. So it's just
wow.
It's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been brought up like that, but it kind of like does my head in when people are too full of themselves.
yeah.
It's like everyone's just kind of a human and on the same level at the end of the day, you know.
For sure. And mate, going into it, how's your relationship with Hawaii being the first stop?
Yeah, I love going to Hawaii. Been lucky enough to go there a fair bit already throughout my career, and everything about it's already probably been said, but yeah, it's just an unreal spot. There's tons of waves, tons of swell. Historically, like a pretty heavy scene, but kind of comes back to that same thing we were talking about. Like you really got to be respectful, and you got to kind of take a humble approach and let the local guys do their thing if you want to kind of last over there. And
yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You go and you kind of get put in your place, and you do your time, and eventually you get a little look in at a wave here and there. And I know it's annoying sometimes, but it's just like a satisfying thing when you go through the whole process and do your time there, and then you eventually actually get a wave, or you get a result in a contest or whatever it is. I know it feels pretty good, and it feels like you've put in this big body of work and put in all this time to go there. It's not like you just strike a swell to Indo and you just get a cracking wave straight off the bat.
Right.
There's no worries. It's like something you've got to put a lot of time and effort into, and you've got to spend years and years there to even figure out the waves. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I've been lucky to spend a lot of time there, and love competing there, love hanging out over there. Unfortunately, there's not as many comps there anymore, but it's still cool to get to go and surf pipe. Like that's just every kid's dream, pretty much, to surf that event. So, always pumped to get over there and surf. And
how do you, like, besides the time that you're spending in the water, like, how do you get ready or get used to pipe? It's got to be. Is it still the main proving ground kind of wave? Do you think?
Oh, for sure. It's a full-on wave. There's lots of full-on waves out there, but I think the thing that sets it apart is it's this incredible wave that's like right on the shore, so it creates this sort of natural amphitheatre. There's all sorts of people on the beach, there's cameras out, there's every good, maybe not every good, but there's a ton of really good big wave charger guys out there, and it's a heavy pack. And I think all those things kind of just combine together and just create this really extreme kind of intense feeling out in the water, and that just like adds to the wave. And it's a heavy wave on its own, even if you're out there by yourself, it's a heavy wave, but with all those other factors involved, it really does turn into that like proving ground, like you said. And when you go over there, kind of like I was mentioning before, you can't just roll up first trip and just kill it out there. Like that just never happens.
It's not happening.
No. So yeah, it's one of those things where you got to actually put time into it, and you got to learn your skills. You got to learn the wave. It's not perfect. It shifts around a lot. There's clampy ones. There's like backwashy ones, and you kind of just got to put your time in there. And it's as well because of the kind of the crew it attracts. I know when you spend the time there and you kind of get to know a lot of those guys, like they're the kind of guys you'll see it all sorts of heavy waves around the world and all sorts of different spots. So it's, I don't know, it takes on that like proving ground sense in a lot of different ways. Not just your surfing, but also, you know, like meeting everyone, and like I guess they're like kind of seeing if you're a dickhead or not, and then, you know, they're the people you run into around the place. So no, it's pretty cool like that. And yeah, you kind of, I bet it's probably lost a bit of its shine now that there's not as many events there, and it's not like a focal point of the surf world. But I think it still has that feeling as, you know, the spot you kind of gotta at least go and do some time at some point is as a surfer.
Yeah, for sure. And in the lineup, like, say, like when there is a tight pack like that, yeah, and then, you know, you're working on your relationships and you've done all your time, are people telling you you're next, like next one's yours? Like, is there people communicating out there in that pack, like, and how is that a thing, or you just, someone gives you the eye and you're like, fuck, okay, this is my one? Like, how does that work?
Not really. It's just so crowded. I mean, it's pretty much like the behind the rock snapper crowd, but on a 10-foot reef, you know. Like, it's just like shoulder to shoulder, and then, I mean, the local guys, it's like, it'd be like paddling out if you're from Snapper or wherever you're from, and then it's just filled with everyone. So you're kind of like, if you're a local there, you're kind of scrapping as well, and you're going, fuck this, like I've got to get my waves too, you know.
Totally.
So it becomes a bit of a shit fight out there, and you kind of, when it's like fully as crowded as it gets, there's not really, you're kind of just sitting there hoping someone misses a wave or something happens. I usually just don't get a lot, but you kind of, when you surf at tons and tons and tons, there'll just be moments like anywhere where you might have gone onshore and it just switches back offshore all of a sudden and gets good, and it's not too crowded, or the swell might be a bit wrong, but there's the odd nugget and you're out there and there's not too many other guys. And on days like that, you can definitely like share it around a bit more.
Yeah, so there's a bit more opportunity.
Yeah. But on the fully crowded pumping days, I mean, I don't blame anyone for just trying to do that. You know, you kind of just got to get what you can and get out of there, because it's just same as the points here. It just gets overloaded and there's not enough waves to go around, and it just kind of becomes chaos.
Totally.
So, yeah, it's just pretty full on sometimes.
I guess you're linked to that wave in so many ways, but also for breaking your leg the day before you started your campaign on the first time on tour, mate.
Yeah, that was a shitty day.
Man.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd qualified too, so I was so excited for the comp, and it was meant to be pumping that day. And it was pretty weird in the morning. It was really washy, and there's a lot of backwash, and there's some kind of like leftover onshore wind. Like, it had dropped out, but it had that leftover morning sickness, and it wasn't that good. And I just jumped in to try and get a little warm up wave before my heat, and I could not get a wave to save my life out there. I was just like, all these random dudes out there, and everyone's just hassling, like all these guys, you know, guys that weren't from there and weren't in the comp, and you're like, fuck, like, why am I having to deal with this shit? Yeah, give us a wave. And I was just over it, so I was like, I'm just going to get a little one in. It's kind of like, it's probably like a 4-foot wave, and it just came in and like really doubled up. It had a lot of energy in it, a lot of double up. And I remember I was just so pissed off, I like just turned around and like took it off some kid on the inside. And pulled in, and I was like kind of running through it, and a backwash had come off the beach, and essentially it just like flared the barrel out, and it kind of like lifted me up off my board. I still had like one hand holding the rail, but it lifted my back foot actually up off the board as the barrel kind of flared and the backwash came through it. So it's almost happened in slow motion, where I'm like up off my board, and then as I've been, as you know, when it flares, the barrel then crushes down again. And as I've been lifted up off my board, it's then come to that point where it's going to just crush and clamp, and I've kind of fallen back onto my board as it's clamping, but my foot's landed, like my toes have kind of landed down, and then it's just crushed my foot down, over my toes. So the bottom of my toes almost came around and touched my calf muscle pretty much. And I just remember, like, you could hear it just go click, 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 and I was like, oh shit, that wasn't good. And you could just kind of felt like it went way beyond where it should have gone. I was like, initially I was worried I did one of those like compound fractures, when you see people you see it sometimes in basketball, and they like land and then their ankle's just facing the wrong way, or their foot's facing the wrong way, and you're like, oh, that's... I was almost worried I did that. I was like, oh my God, my whole leg was numb. I was just like, fuck, what have I done? And then I didn't even want to look. I was just touching it to see if it was kind of in the right spot, and everything was sweet, and it kind of felt fine. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm good. I couldn't feel anything. It was pretty numb. And I paddled in and then got to the beach and just sort of tried to get up and stand on it just to see, and it was just like the sharpest pang of pain right through my leg from my ankle. And I was like, oh yeah, that's not good. And then, luckily there was one of the lads that does all the setup for the WSL. He's just like huge bulk dude, Jay, and he...
I know Jay.
Yeah, he came down and he was sort of setting some shit up on the beach, and he saw that I was hurt, and he came down and just like put me on his back and carried me all the way up the beach to the medical tent.
No way.
And then, as fortune would have it, I mean, it was a shithouse time to break your leg, as you can assume, but it was also a really good time because WSL had a doctor that was working the event.
Okay.
And he turned out to be an orthopedic surgeon, and he just checked it out that morning and went, oh yeah, you've broken your ankle. I can feel it. He was like pressing on it, going, yeah, it's definitely, I can feel it flexing. I'll book you in and do surgery on you tonight. And I literally got surgery that night, got it all done, and was back out sitting at the house chilling, waiting to go home for the next week, like, you know, a few days later. So it was pretty good in that sense that I got like really well looked after. You know, it wasn't like I broke my leg out in the middle of nowhere and had this crazy ordeal trying to get home. But yeah, the worst part was when I got to hospital and got checked in and everything. I like mistakenly decided to throw on the event just to see what was going on.
Oh God.
And I remember this one wave rolled. It was just this one wave peeling off as I like flicked the channel on, and it was just so perfect and sick. And I was like, oh yeah, that must be like an ad or something from like one other year.
It's a highlight campaign from the best of.
Yeah, I thought it was like they were running some highlights or just showing, like, you know, when they just in between they just run a nice wave.
Yeah.
And it was just an empty that no one went, like an insider. I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And I'd never seen it look that good before. I was like, oh my God. That probably hurt more than anything. Like the fact that you could have been at pretty all-time pipe with no one out.
Wow.
That was the biggest sting. But, it was all good. It all worked out in the end.
It did. It did all work out, man. And like, it's so cool to hear the silver lining that you're saying, that you know you had the doctor there and all that kind of stuff, and obviously your sponsors are all sticking behind you and all that kind of thing. And then so from there, what did you have to do mentally and physically to be back in the position that you're in now?
Yeah, well that year it was maybe the second year they had that cut. So, well, that cut, they still have it.
The cut, yeah.
And that was after 5 events. So I was out. I didn't surf one of the events before the cut. So I never got to surf on the tour at that stage. And had to come home and pretty much just got stuck into the gym and into rehab. And my main thing, because I'd never had a serious injury like that, and it's kind of confronting when you're fully sort of debilitated for a moment. You're like, far out. Like, if this was in the Middle Ages, I probably would never walk again. You know.
True.
So I had a bit of like a confronting moment. I was like, fuck. Am I ever going to surf the same, or like, is it going to be the same? You just kind of don't know. There's all these questions, and I just decided, like, all right, well, forget the competitions. I at least want to just be able to surf how I surfed again. You know, that's the bare minimum, and that was the big motivation. So I was like, I'm just going to get in the gym and do as much rehab as I can. I was really fortunate with Surfing Australia. They like fully backed my rehab, and I was allowed to use the gym as much as I wanted, use the physio as much as I wanted. So I was very lucky in that sense. And I just made use of those services that were available to me as much as I could. And pretty much was 3.5 months out of the water, but probably 4 months before I was kind of cleared to surf properly again.
Not too bad, really.
Yeah, not too bad. But the tough bit was, just when I first got back in the water, it just didn't feel the same. I was like, fuck, you know, my ankle's so stiff and I just feel so slow. And I remember doing all this training and like getting in the gym 5 times a week and doing all this rehab. And I had was reading Mick's book when he did his hamstring, and he came back and won Snapper straight away. And I had I had the Challenger series at Snapper. That was like my comeback event. I'm like, I'm going to come back and win it. Like, fuck yeah.
Fucking oath.
I'll be like Mick.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
Just got there and just got smoked first heat, lost straight away. I was like, oh god,
Shit.
this ain't good. And then I wasn't surfing that good. I was just a bit like, I don't know. Went to Manly the next event, lost second heat, I think. And then I went and did a QS in Indo just to try and get some confidence back, and lost first heat there. I was just
Oh my god.
fuck, this is fuck. It was a full struggle. And I don't know, it was hard to process, because at first I was like, you've just been on the tour, you're like, oh, I'm a CT guy, like I should be able to smoke these dudes, and then I'm getting smoked by these guys, and I'm kind of not surfing how I want to surf, and it was pretty depressing. I was like, shit, this sucks. But fortunately, I mean, that Indo comp I went and did, I lost first heat, but then like we just had the craziest swell hit Indo while we were there, like throughout the whole event. And the comp wave was, it's a pretty good wave, but it's not, there's a lot of other waves in the area that were just like way better.
Yep.
So it was almost a blessing in disguise. Like I just got knocked out of the event and just had the free reign to go and surf all these sick waves.
Awesome.
And that was kind of exactly what I needed at that time, just to go and surf and get good waves, and do it for the reasons why I started doing it. Just the love of riding some waves. So I did that, surfed a whole ton, and things started feeling a bit better. Ankles started feeling a bit better, and then I kind of just got back to a point where I felt normal again, and that was just so liberating. I was like, I'm just so stoked that I can surf how I used to. Whether I'm on tour or on the Challenger, I'm getting to go around and surf and do this for I've had to work a bit at home, but I was like, I'm getting to do this for a job pretty much.
Yep.
And this is sick. Like if this is it, then this is sick. If it's not the tour, then that's fine. And that was almost the realization I'd come to. And as soon as I got to that point, it was like all the weight off my shoulders, and I was just free to surf and compete. And then that's when I started doing well on the Challenger series and getting some momentum again. Yeah. And then I pretty much had a string of good results, and managed to sneak back onto the tour, which was pretty cool.
Well, it's a pretty significant string of good results, mate, if you fucking get qualifying back on the tour. Like, what were the results?
Oh, it actually wasn't anything crazy. I think I got a ninth in Burleigh. That was like after that Indo trip. That was the first event back. And that little ninth gave me a bit of confidence. I'd made a few heats, felt like I was surfing all right. Then went to Huntington and got a fifth. And then went to Portugal and got a third. And that was that. And I think I got another ninth in Hawaii at Hiace at the end of the year. And that pretty much sealed the deal. I didn't smash it, but I snuck in at like,
but you were just
7th or 8th or something. Yeah.
Yeah, just chipping away in that back in the back blocks.
Yeah.
I actually just watched I think it's the Whistler produced video, I think, of the Portugal trip that you did with Matt McGilroy.
Oh yeah.
Was that time, or is that before?
No, that was this year.
That was this year.
On the CT.
That was on the CT. That looked like a pretty nice trip, man.
Yeah, that was sick, just for the event.
Cool part of the world, eh?
It is. It's really cool over there. Heaps of spots to go surf. We were just trying to find different little waves and mix it up, get away from the circus a little bit, and it's pretty easy to do over there, so it was good.
Yeah, that's it.
Had a sick time.
Mate, how important is it for you to do coaching? I know the Burleigh Board Riders has an amazing junior program, and no doubt you've had times with some of the great coaches that are there. I'm presuming Jay Thompson and others. And that part of your life, mate, because I know some kids that are in Burleigh that look right up to you, and I feel like it's a really nice succession in surfing in that club.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's something that I was given as a young fella in Burleigh. Had all the older crew mentor me and show me the ropes, and I think for me it's just important to continue that. That succession, as you mentioned, and just try and give those lessons, pass those lessons on to the next generation. And I mean, I'm probably just waffling most of the time I'm talking to them, but if there's any little nugget of wisdom in there that they can take that helps them out, then that's job well done. So I think that's the main kind of mission behind it. I don't have a ton of time, unfortunately, so I don't get to do heaps of stuff, but when I'm around, I love to go and try and give them a few tips and give back a little bit. I think that's one of the real cool things about surfing as a whole. Is it's one of those unique sports or activities where there's a real sense of community around it, even though it's a bit of an individual pursuit. You know, within an area like a break, like, you know, up here at North End or down at the Point at Burleigh or whatever, it's the older guys mentor the younger crew, and there's a real bond between like a really large subsect of people. It's not like you just hang out with the people your age. Like, you'll know guys that are 60 down to like people that are younger than you, you know, and everyone has a relationship. Whereas, I don't know, I haven't spent a whole heap of time in like a footy club, but I don't know if it would be as...
I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be quite the same. It's almost like a tribe, like a primitive tribe, where it's just the whole big group and the whole kind of community that surf kind of come together. So I think it's really cool like that, and yeah, if I can have a hand in perpetuating that culture, then in a positive way, then yeah, I'd love to do that.
Mate, that's awesome. I totally know what you're talking about, being in North End, and it's the one time when I go to that club there, you have mates who are 19 and then guys that are the old boys, and you're all actually just chasing the same thing. You're all just there for surfing, and it is an amazing part of it, and it's probably my favourite thing about being in a surf club. Why do you think people who do surf, whether they're CEOs of companies or whatever, not necessarily at elite levels, but just any kind of surfing, what is it about surfing that people love? Why is it their priority often?
I mean, it's probably a pretty glib explanation, but it's just extremely fun and addictive, I think. Just the sensation of standing up and gliding across water gives you a real high, and it's a really fun thing to do. And then on top of that, it's healthy. It gets you outside. You get a good exercise out of it. And then there's the whole world of surfing you explore as well. It's not just like you roll up to a swimming pool and swim the same lane. You know, you can go and surf this wave, that wave, these conditions, those conditions. Even if you surf the same wave every day, it's never the same once. So you're kind of always chasing a feeling, and you're always chasing conditions, and you never get it. Or you not never get it, but you don't get it all the time. So it keeps you hooked. And then when you do get those little tastes here and there, you're like, I'm coming back. I've got to keep coming back, you know. So it's very addicting, and I think that's why, people just prioritise it, like you said. They just push everything aside.
So everything is that. Yeah, really noticed that over the years with people I meet, that it's whatever they do at whatever level, and that can be like big businessmen or anyone, they always seem to prioritise surfing.
Yeah.
But I get it, makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you some something to be passionate about, and something to live for, I suppose.
Mate, for Snapper, this time round, do you have a relationship with the wave? Do you tend to surf it much?
I actually don't surf it too much.
I can't. That's what I was thinking. I don't remember seeing you out there a ton.
No. I probably surf it less than guys that fly over and visit, you know. But,
is there a reason for that, man, or you just choose Burleigh when those conditions?
Yeah, I mean, half of it's probably that Burleigh and Snapper work on similar
same
conditions.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm more comfortable at Burleigh, of course. That's my home break, so it's pretty easy just to go and get in the comfort zone and surf there.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is I'm just hopeless in the crowd at Snapper. Like, I just can't seem to hack it. And I have had so many surfs there, I come in and just go, fuck, I just want to quit surfing after that. That was so abysmal. So for my own mental sanity, I think I've probably steered clear of it a lot. But this time I've been trying to surf it a lot more recently than I have ever in the past. So I'll try and have some sort of relationship built by the time the comp comes around, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, myself and my friends, even from Burleigh, we had such a disdain for the crowd and how hectic it was. We'd all just be like, fuck, Snapper, we can't. I mean, all of us were pretty useless at navigating crowds, so kind of just got sick of going down there and just getting regulated and getting faded by like random tourists and shit. What the fuck's going on out here? This is a zoo. So,
it's a bit lawless.
Yeah, but I mean, having said that, it's a sick wave, and it's bred so many amazing surfers. You know, like all the champs from the Goldie, even like the current crop. There's so many good surfers from down there, and yeah, there's a reason why they got that wave on their doorstep and it pumps. So definitely, definitely a sick wave, and it's just I just can't handle the crowd. That's the main reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be down there trying to surf it a bit more. I'm hoping it breaks between now and when I leave for Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, try and get the work done now, because I know it'll be a zoo around the event.
That's for sure, it will.
Yeah, and just try and get it all dialed, get the boards and everything dialed in now, and just have to figure out what the bank's doing closer to the event.
And what boards and who are you riding for these days, mate?
Yeah, I ride for Darren Hanley. I've ridden for him for probably
Awesome.
10 years now. And as far as boards for snapper, we're still kind of in a bit of a experimental phase at the moment, trying to figure out what's what and what'll work out at snapper. But I think I'll probably ride something that's a little bit looser than my normal board, just because the pocket at snappers, like, it's quite a tight pocket, and you got to fit your turns in quite a small space.
Yeah, for sure.
So you want something, for me, I feel like I want something that's quite loose and lively, that I can just sort of throw, like, get that tight arc and be able to throw like quick snaps and stuff into the lip. That's what the idea I've got in my head anyway. We'll see how it works.
I think that's a good idea.
But
that makes sense.
that's sort of what we're developing at the moment. And with the way the tour is set up, those boards are almost a bit of a priority, just because you have the wave pool, which is the right hand is like a pretty similar shape to a green mount or a snapper, and then you got our Salvador too, which is like kind of like a Burleigh or
it's the most Burleigh looking wave I've seen on tour, actually. Yeah.
I mean, when you get that kind of like flatter, more rippable bank, it's definitely similar. It doesn't get hollow like Burleigh does.
Yeah.
Super fun wave. It's almost like a cross between like Burleigh and Lennox, and maybe even a bit of Angari in there or something. So it's a fun wave. But
looks cool.
Yeah, like those three waves will probably require a similar board. So it's sort of where I'm at the moment with equipment.
Is there anyone on the tour that you'd love to beat this year? Who you got I know this is totally out of character if you say anything like that. Is there any gripes? Anyone as long as you beat them, you're feeling good?
I mean, any of those big dogs, if you can get a win away on some of those guys, it always feels good, because they're just machines, like your Medinas, your Johns, Ethans, your Griffins, those sorts of dudes. They surf so good, and they're very, very hard to beat. But for me, probably I got to try and beat Griffin. I think he's beaten me about 8 times in a row. I think he's
due.
I think he's 8-0 against me, literally. So I gotta get one back on him. But yeah, I mean, any heat win on the tour is a cause for celebration, pretty much. Everyone surfs so good, and even on the Challenger, watching the last few challenges, the level's so high. So many good surfers. So yeah, if you can get a win, you're always stoked. It doesn't really matter who you're against.
That's for sure. And what do you think sets those guys apart? Those guys you mentioned. What?
Yeah.
What's the level? Why are they at that point?
I mean,
what are they doing?
Those guys at the top end, a lot of them have different skill sets. It's not necessarily the one thing that they all do the same, but whatever their skill set is, they do exceptionally well. And then they're so consistent with their surfing. They can do crazy shit 90% of the time and not fall off. Especially guys like Italo, Medina, Iago, Felipe, those sort of dudes. Yeah, some of those Brazilian dudes. Like, they'll do the best airs you've ever seen in competition, and they'll stick it every time. Fuck, like, I'll be lucky to stick an air half as good, once a year. Yeah. And these dudes are just doing it every single time. So it's definitely that, like, their consistency, and then I think just their overall approach. They're very confident, and they back what they're doing. They trust like their skill set. Like, you're not going to see Ethan paddle out against Felipe and start hucking full rotes. He's going to stick to his strengths, and he's confident he can beat him on his strengths. And just sometimes that mindset, the confidence of their mindset, almost sets them apart a bit too, and they're not getting rattled, they're not getting worried about what the other guy's doing too much. They're just, they know what needs to be done. They've done it enough times, and they back themselves to be able to execute whatever it is they're trying to pull off in the surf.
For you talking to young guys, man, that you talk to, say at Burleigh, or any young guys coming up, how would you explain making it on tour and the feeling? Like, what's it like?
It's pretty unbelievable. It's kind of, it depends. I mean, if you're a prodigy child that's touted to make the tour forever, it might be different. But I mean, for me, I never even thought I was going to make it when I was, it was a dream, but didn't seem like a reality or something that could actually happen.
Yeah.
So it was pretty surreal, to be honest. It's just like, whoa, holy shit, that just happened. But at the same time, you kind of build up to it for so long too. You go through all these stages. It's not like you just go from having a dream to executing it in a year. It's like years and years and years, and you get closer and closer and closer. And by the time you get there, it's almost like you believe it a bit more because you've been right there for a while.
Yep.
That's how it felt for me, at least. I had a few friends qualify that I travelled with a lot, Morgan Siblick and Maddie McGilvray, a few years before I did, and like getting to see them do it, I was like, fuck, if they can do it, I can do it. Like,
absolutely.
It almost gave me the confidence to really believe that it was a possibility. And not to try and like sour the explanation of how it feels, but it's almost a bit more realistic when it happens. But it is still a bit, you almost get like the flashbacks to like, whoa, this used to be a full on
dream,
pipe dream, like not even a fathomable reality. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, just if you just chip away at it in steps, it's kind of the same for anything, and as you get closer and closer, it starts to feel a lot more attainable. What's that quote? A journey of 1,000 steps or 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So
nice.
You just got to slowly chip away at it, and eventually you get there.
I for sure, and I think that's a really nice thing to sort of pass on to the young Groms. And mate, you've got a lot of people who must be very proud of how you've done in surfing, and your family included, and I guess Burleigh board ride, the whole Burleigh board riding community behind you. Any strategy for you for this year that you're gonna, like, any parting words on how you're going to approach this year?
Just try and do better than last year.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
What was your result last year?
I ended up at like 21st.
Okay.
Just down the back end. But no, I think I just want to keep on the sort of upward trajectory if I can, and keep improving, keep getting better, and just keep going after it and attacking and see where it takes me, I guess.
Mate,
See how we go.
Mate, you're such a humble fella, man. It's absolute pleasure to have you in the car, and I really appreciate your time too. Thanks so much, Liam.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'll let you go. I didn't take you for a surf like I fucking promised I did, I?
No, I don't know if we would have got anything anyway.
Mate, thanks so much, and good luck this year, man.
Yeah, cheers.
I can't wait to watch you. And you've got the whole Gold Coast right behind you.
No, thanks for that, mate. No, good
awesome.
to have a chat.
Thanks. All the cameras are shitting themselves anyway, so this is perfect timing.
Right.
Thanks, mate. The mighty Burleigh board riders, Liam Obrien, what a legend, and I wish him all the best this year on tour. I can't wait to watch him go round. Absolute carve lord. If you've come this far, you're loving the Skegcast, and I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited for the next one. You're watching the Skegcast, and thanks very much.